Good morning, everyone, and welcome. My name is Carly Bell, and I love to do machine embroidery tutorials. And today we are continuing with our Candy Corn Quilt Shoppe Sew Along, which is a featured wall quilt from Kimberbell. And we're going to be making 2 more blocks today. We're going to be working on one of the tombstone blocks. We'll do MT bobbins, and then also the broom parking only sign. So that's what we're working on today. Let me check the chat real quick. Everybody can see and hear me all right. I hope y'all all having a great morning. Hey, Joe and Shay and Jeanette and Sherry. I hope y'all are all doing good. Yay. All right, just checking to see any questions, any celebrations, anything going on y'all want to talk about before we get started today. I have one celebration. Today is my mama's birthday, so everybody say happy birthday, Lori. I'm actually going to be taking her out to lunch as soon as this class is over, so go and spend a little time with my mama. And I have some plans on something I'm making for her, but it's not done. So that's probably going to be a Christmas present. But I'm trying to make her something. We'll see how it goes. But hi, Yvonne from California. Yay. Thanks so much for being here. All right, so let's go ahead and jump in. Like I said, we're going to be working on the tombstone block and the broom parking block. Now, the tombstone block, there are 3 of them on the quilt. So as you can guess, that's going to be your homework. So we're going to make one of them live, the MT bobbins. And then the other 2 says, "Here lies Alma scraps." And the other one is, "Here lies an unfinished quilt. May it rest in pieces." I love all the puns. So those 2 tombstone blocks will be your homework, but the process will be exactly the same as the one we're putting together today. Both blocks we're doing today are super easy. They're literally the block, a piece of applique fabric, and then some writing on it. And then the broom parking only. All others will be stitched in the ditch. Love the puns. So go ahead and grab your supplies for those 2 blocks. So I have my envelopes with my pre-cut pieces as we did in our first prep video. If this is your first time joining in, I did forget to point out that all of the information for this sew along can be found on my website. It should be the first link that you see below this video. And let me switch all over to my computer real quick. And it will bring you to this page on my website, carlybell.com, and then the Candy Corn Quilt Shoppe Sew Along. All the info that you need for this project, including our videos, the schedule if you're participating live. If not, don't worry. They're all recorded, so you can go back and watch the replays. So here is what we've done so far. And then video 6 is going to show up right here after, and there's a playlist so you can watch all of them in a row. These are all of the supplies for this project. We did, I think, have some trouble finding the fabric kit, but we found a new quilt shop. But what I need to do is go update this link, because I think the one it brings us to now, if I click on it, is sold out. Let's see. Nope. Fabric backing kit. It doesn't say sold out, but it doesn't have a price. Maybe it is available. Go try. This one's on Etsy. The other one was a quilt shop, I think, in Illinois that we found. But links to all the supplies and all the little tools that I'm using throughout this sew along. I'm using my Brother Stellaire, but I'm trying to keep everything in a 5x7 or 6x10 hoop. So if you have a machine that doesn't have a hoop this big, don't worry, we're going to be going over the smaller hoops and even how to split designs. Thread colors, there's a kit you can buy if you want to buy these thread colors, or you can just find some in your craft room that are similar to those. They're pretty basic colors: orange, black, gray, green, purple, and like a goldy color. And then also don't forget to go grab your free organizational chart. This is a free download. Just put in your name and your email and it'll automatically get sent to you with all of the info for each block we're doing if you're following along. it makes life a lot easier, trust me. All right, so I just wanted to show you all of that for our new friends that are here. Ooh, something else I need to tell you too. Don't get mad at me. But one of the whole reasons why I'm doing these sew-alongs is because I keep finding these awesome deals on these quilts on Kimberbell's website when they do deal of the week. And so all of my sew-along things I've bought, the past two sew-alongs, which was Oh So Delightful and Main Street Celebrations, I got those on sale. This Candy Corn Quilt Shoppe, I got on sale last year. Just finally getting around to doing it. I found our next one because it's on sale this week. So I think I saved a picture of it. It is so, so pretty. It is a ladder quilt, and it's called Quilting Through the Seasons, I think is the name of it. So you see it right here in the middle of my screen, and it's different dimensions than the quilt we're working on now, which I like, but there are some really cool embellishments on here that are removable. So you literally change it for each season. So let me go back to my website because I have a link to the deals of the week on there and go and show you. Where am I? Here we are. Let me turn this off. I'm going to take you back to my website. Actually, Kimberbell's website. Let me go show you so you could see it all. Okay, so Kimberbell's website, deal of the week. I have a link, and it's my referral link right here on my website under the Gather Supplies. I very, very much appreciate y'all using my referral links when y'all can. It's no extra cost to you at all, but it helps my business a lot when you use my referral links to make your purchase. All right, so here are the deals of the week. So here is the quilt. And if we click on it, I want to show you the closer up pictures. They have these little frames. Here are the different seasons. So you see there's a spring, a summer, a fall, and a winter. And those are the pieces that get changed on the quilt depending on what season that you're in. Isn't that adorable? I love this. So this can stay up year round, and you just change those removable elements so that it matches the season that you're in. So super duper cute. So this is the, how do we go back? All right. That is the actual designs. Okay. That's going to be all of the applique and embroidery designs that you see on there, and the bits that even get removed, which are going to be some in the hoop projects. Then there is an embellishment kit. These are going to be all those extra shiny elements, I guess you could say, that you see on the quilt, like specialty products and ribbons and just everything you need. And then this is the background quilting for this quilt. Now you don't need to get this, but while it's on sale for 20 bucks, I would grab it. They have some really pretty designs that you can use probably for all different kinds of quilting projects. And I wanted to tell you, Kimberbell has free shipping if you spend $100. And I think if you add the designs, the embellishment kit, and the quilting, you're like at $98, $99. So go ahead and add this cute tote for $2, and that will bring you to that free shipping finish line. So that's what I did. I ordered all 4 of these yesterday. This is an instant download, and these 3 items will be shipped to me. And I'm putting this on my sew along list for 2026. I haven't decided whether I am going to do this right when the new year starts. I kind of want to, so I might, so that I can have it up. So this might be our first sew along for 2026. I'm still torn because I still have spring showers that I need to complete, but I may just do that on the side because my friend Shay has a how do we get back here? There we go. My friend Shay has a sew along for spring showers. So I might refer y'all to her if y'all want to do spring showers, because I've already started mine and I didn't get the fabric kit for it. So it's a hot mess. part of me is thinking about going get the fabric kit and then redoing the blocks that I've already done. So it's kind of up in the air, but I think I might choose the quilting through the seasons to start after the new year. So let me know what y'all think. If you like it as much as I do, go grab it now while it's on sale. I am going to go look for the fabric kit, and I will let y'all know where I find it and the best price, because, you know, I'm going to shop around. Let's see. Yay, Loretta. She figured out a multiple hoop for background quilting 4x4. Yay, I'm so glad, because we talked about this in the last class. It's hard to do some of these blocks with 4x4 hoop, but the background quilting you should be able to get by rehooping and using kind of the clear blue tile method. But I tell people you can cheat. You don't have to use the clear blue tiles. If you print out the design, you can kind of make your own template, or you can even stitch it out on some stabilizer. So I'm glad you got that figured out. Yay, Susan bought the deal yesterday too. And Terry already has everything for this. Yay, you're ready to go. All right. Okay. So I think that was everything I wanted to tell you. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's go to the craft table and move the mouse out the way. So I have my pre-cuts ready for the tombstone. Now the tombstone, there are 3 of them. And why do I feel like I'm missing some fabric? I am missing some. See, I still haven't cut into my extra because I'm missing things. Okay, so this one is Rest in Pieces. This one's Empty Bobbins. I'm missing this green fabric for Alma Scraps. Maybe I put it in the wrong envelope. Let's see. Here's one. That's Dress Form. Dress Form has that same fabric. This is Quilt Shoppe. Can't see Quilt Shoppe. Quilt Shoppe only has a little piece of this fabric. Yeah, that's all I got in there. Okay, so let's check this is my leftover stash. It was, is it this one? Yeah. Well, let's hope I have enough. What did I do wrong? Not big enough. I might have to use a different background fabric for that piece, unless I just misplaced it and it's somewhere in my bin and I put it in the wrong thing. So I'm gonna look around some more. But today we're doing empty bobbins, so I'll need this background fabric, and then this is the tombstone fabric for the applique, and then a piece of batting. And I pre-cut all my batting so that it fits perfectly and I don't have to trim it in the hoop. So that's the tombstone. Okay, and then I'll just leave it on top here. And this is Brook Parking, kind of same thing. We have background fabric, a piece for applique right on top, and then the batting. And both of these blocks are going to fit nicely in a 5x7 hoop. For our friend Loretta, the actual tombstone or sign, you'd have to check to see if it'll fit in a 4x4 hoop. You may be able to split it, but like we've talked about previously, that whole piece is an applique, and sometimes it is very tricky to split an applique so that everything lines up nicely. All the thread words in the middle will split fine. It's that applique bit that can be tricky. So let me know how that comes out for you. But I'll be using a 5x7 hoop, and I'm replacing stabilizer with lightweight muslin. This is what I've been using for all of my Kimberbell quilting projects, and it works great, and it's much cheaper. And I've actually think I've run through my 5 yards that I originally ordered when we started Oh So Delightful. So I think I'm about to order some more. I have a bunch of scraps, which I can stitch together to make work, but I'm probably going to be lazy and just order another 5-yard bit. All right, so here is my stabilizer and hoop ready to go. So now all we have to do is merge the background quilting design with the applique design. And going off my cheat sheet, we are on page 7. We can do MT bobbins first. We need to pull up chevron 1 4x6 horizontal. The instructions are on page 12 in the book. I'm using my batting cut size at 4x6, but the final size we'll trim it to is 4.5 by 6.5. I'm using my black webs fabric, and I'm doing my quilting in black. So let's go ahead and move to Embrilliance. Let me pull up my Embrilliance and make it to where it fits the screen and let y'all see my computer again. All right, so here is, let's see, let me zoom out. I got my hoop turned the wrong way, so let me rotate it. I'll double click right here on the status bar. If y'all can see that, that shows the size of the hoop. And then this shows the size of the overall design. So I already made these before we started, but let's go ahead and start over so y'all can see the process. And where I need to go to my embroidery designs and Kimberbell, Candy Corn. Okay, and I'm gonna start with the quilting. So for MT bobbins, we need chevron 1 4x6 horizontal. So I'm gonna do my quilting bundle, chevron 1, embroidery files, pick your format, 4x6 horizontal. This one, when I hover over it, I could see the full name. That's horizontal. So I'm gonna double click this, and now this opens in Embrilliance. I have my bigger hoop on there because I was testing something we're gonna play with after. So let me go and pick my 5x7 hoop. And again, I'm gonna rotate it. All right, so now that is my background quilting. Let's go ahead and open up the other design, which is the broom parking. So I'm gonna turn the page on my cheat sheet. That tells me wavy 3 4x6. I'm gonna go back to my quilting designs and look for wavy 3. And 4x6. I think it's vertical. Let me double check. This is my cheat sheet. Broom parking, horizontal. Wavy 3 horizontal. So let me minimize that. Where were we? This one's horizontal, right? Yes. Double click that. Okay, so now I have a tab with my background for the tombstone, and this is my tab for the background for broom parking. So now let's go and merge in those applique designs. So let's back up and go to my quilt designs, embroidery files, pick my format, the quilt designs, and now we see all those appliques. So what was my first one? MT bobbins. So I'm going to click that. I'm going to drag it and drop it. And now it is right where it needs to be. And then I'm going to go to this one. And I need the broom parking, which is right here. Drag and drop. So now these are ready to send to your machine. And as always, you have the option to just merge these two on your machine. I like to come on here and remove some steps that I don't do, which is the tack down stitch for the batting and the placement stitch for the background fabric. If you're new here and you go back and you watch some of my older videos, oops, I think I deleted something I wasn't supposed to. Let me go to undo. In some of my other videos, I go over, you're going to see when I get to the machine why I skip those steps. So what I do is I click them in the objects panel here and just hit delete on my keyboard. And now this is ready to go to the machine. Placement for my batting, tack down for my background fabric. We'll do the quilting, and then we have this simple applique, placement, tack down, stitch the words, and then the final stitch. So this one's going to be super quick, except these satin stitches take some time. And then broom parking is kind of similar. I'll go and delete my 2 steps I don't do, and then broom parking, we'll see we have a applique, words, and then satin outline. So I've already saved these as stitch files on my USB stick, and I have it plugged into my machine. When things are stitching and we have some time to talk, we're going to come back to Embrilliance because I am going to try to figure out a way to stitch my other 2 tombstones in 1 6x10 hooping, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to figure that out. Okay, y'all see me? Let me get back to my screen. Yay, Elsa got quilting through the seasons. It's going to be fun. Oh, this is a great tip from Loretta. If anybody else is using a 4x4 hoop, you can do the background for the witches, just use 1 4x4 and a 2x4 instead of the 6x8 design. Very nice. Okay, so now we can go over to the machine. I got my hoop. I got, what we're doing empty bobbins first. So I got that fabric and my hoop. And I just need to click on the design. I was playing with something earlier. Embroidery, USB. Wait, you're plugged in. Saying it's not plugged in. Okay, let's try this. Oh, I don't think I had it in the right spot. Okay. There we go. Empty bobbins. Set. Embroider. Okay. Slide my hoop on here. I still need to thread a needle. I'm going to go ahead and put on black for this step, but it doesn't matter what color you use. And the first step is going to be a placement stitch showing us where to put our batting. And because I cut my batting to size, I got to close this. That's why I could skip some of those steps that I deleted in Embrilliance. I could have also skipped Embrilliance altogether and just came here and skipped those steps on my machine. So it's all a preference thing. Find what works best for you. Now, if you cut your batting bigger than the space, that's when you're going to want to keep the next step that I deleted, which is a tack down, because we'd lay it on here, tack it down, and then trim it just like an applique. But this is ready to go. So I am just going to use my little glue stick. I want to make sure it's on a nice flat surface. And I'm just rubbing it in there to hold my batting in place. And put it right in that box. And now I also skipped the placement stitch for the background fabric because I think it's not necessary, because I can just lay this right on top of my batting and it's good to go. However, I do want to change my thread now, because I recommend removing the basting stitch that's about to happen before you trim your block. And a way to make that process easier is to use water-soluble thread. So I'm loading my water-soluble thread. That's something that's on that supply list on my website that I showed y'all at the beginning of the video. Got it from Amazon. It just needs to be in the top, doesn't need to be in the bobbin. And we're going to dissolve that before we trim the block when it's all done. Okay, now I'm going to go back to my black thread because the next step is the quilting. And according to my little chart, we're going to do it in black. But by all means, if you want to do some fun colors that stand out more, choose whatever thread color you want for your background quilting. The chart is not end all be all instructions. Have fun with it and play around with different colors, different background quilting designs. There's lots of things you can do to kind of make it your own. All right. Oh, I wanted to tell y'all too. For those of y'all that watched my Sip and Stitch last Friday, we went over how to make patches on my little tiny sketch embroidery machine. But one of the things I was really hoping to test out for that video was using some different products. They literally came in like Friday afternoon after the video was over. So I haven't opened them and played with them yet, but I wanted to show you. So in the tutorial, I used woven wash away stabilizer. I think it works great, but I've heard time and time again people recommend Badge Master. This is like a heavy duty wash away or water soluble. Like, you know how we use water soluble for topper? This is like a heavy duty version of that can be used as stabilizer for in the hoop projects like patches. So I got that. I got OESD's version of the strong adhesive that goes on the back of patches. They call Fuse and Seal. So I got a roll of that. And then this is a product from Dime, which OESD purchased Dime. So now they're all one company, but Dime is still keeping their brand. This is their Poly Patch Twill. This is polyester twill fabric that can be used for patches if you're doing patches that are not all thread. Like, I don't know where I put my patches. Oh, I put them all in this little case until I'm done and make my shirt. So, like these tiger ones are all thread. I dissolved them in water to get all the wash away stabilizer out when they were done. But if instead of doing it all thread, I could use the white twill and just stitch the tiger on top of the twill and do my patch outline. I think I'm going to try that because these got super dense when it got to the whiskers part. So I'm going to try stitching out one of these tigers on the white twill instead of them being all thread, where it's set that like white base with thread. My base would be the fabric instead. So I just wanted to show you those things real quick. That came in the mail. Back to the machine. We are done with the background quilting. So the next step is the placement stitch for your applique fabric. And I'm going to do it in black thread, but it's going to be hard to see. So y'all just trust me that I tell you I'm putting it in the right spot. You could do this in a contrasting color to really make sure you see where applique fabric goes. But I don't want to keep changing thread colors because I know the step after this is black. I'm just leaving the black on there. So it made like this tombstone outline. And what's good is that this light gray fabric could be kind of see-through, especially with this really strong pattern on the spiderweb fabric. But because I put the Pellon SF101 on the back, it really prevents anything from showing through. So I am just placing this applique fabric right on top. Put it back, lower my presser foot, and now we'll do the tack down stitch. It's going to go around twice, and then we will take it off and go back to the craft table and trim it. Okay, so we'll go trim right around this stitch line. Oops. And I'm going to use my little tweezer like scissors. And you just want to trim as close to that stitch line as possible. Something else that's cool with Kimberbell projects is for any applique that is, you know, it's got a satin stitch, finishing stitch. They do it, the designs come with the SVG files so that you can pre-cut your applique designs on your Scan and Cut or Silhouette or Cricut if you wanted to. So like while you're doing all your prep work, you could prep a little bit more and pre-cut your applique pieces and put those in your envelopes. So that would be something. I don't think I'm gonna do that though. I like the idea of pre-cutting appliques, but at the same time, it's a lot of prep work. So it's like by the time I'm done, I'm like, I think I would have been faster if I would have just trimmed them, you know, hand trim them in the hoop. But you know, for people that have issues with their hands and arthritis and holding scissors, that's definitely going to be your best route to go, is using pre-cut appliques by using a cutting machine. All right, so we're going to put this back on the machine. And I think now is all the black lettering. So that's why I left my black thread on there, just to help reduce thread changes. And we're going to stitch that. That's going to take 5 minutes. And then it's going to do the silver outline of the tombstone. And that takes 10 minutes. While those things are stitching, I can go back and look at any questions y'all posted. And I wanted to go back in Embrilliance and show y'all how I'm going to fit the other 2 tombstones in a 4x6 and a 6x10 hoop and do 2 of them at one time. All right, I see Rita is on her way home. Safe travels, my friend. Thank you, Milda, for joining us. You always have the replay you can go watch on my YouTube channel right after the live is over. So you come back and finish watching. Ooh, and Milda said she's practicing free motion on her domestic sewing embroidery machine. That's going to be one thing I plan to learn in the future. I'm just getting to the plain old quilting part. And then one day I hope to play with free motion quilting. Let's see. Loretta has another tip she learned accidentally. Iron on the the SF 101 after sewing together, like the pinwheel square, so they're not so thick when sewing. I thought about that, Loretta, and I think we talked about it when we were stitching the pinwheel blocks because they get very bulky in the middle. But someone had a comment about why maybe that wouldn't be a good idea, but I don't remember what it was. But I think just not putting it on there at all and then just having a regular piece block and then put on your machine to quilt after is a good option. All right, any other questions? All right, oh good, I'm glad it works great for you. So she said it works beautifully for her. So great. So if you are still working on your pinwheel blocks, give that a try. Don't add the SF101 to the back yet if you haven't already. So like that's where I kind of went, is I put it on everything before I even started. But it keeps all the seams down. Okay, thanks. All right, let's jump back to Embrilliance. Show you my computer. Okay, so if you look at my cheat sheet, the other two tombstones that we need to do is Alma Scraps and Rest in Pieces. Alma Scraps is Celebration 2 4x6 vertical, and Rest in Pieces is Halloween 1 4x6. So I've already opened those two designs, and then I made my hoop. I went to the preference window and changed my hoop to 6x10. Now, when you open them, they open like this, and they fit nice in a 6x10 hoop this way, but then I can't fit two of them, right? So I was like, well, what if I turn them to their side? So I use this rotate button here, rotate 90 degrees. And if I put two of them like this, one on the top and one on the bottom going sideways. But then, as you can see by this red highlight right here, this design is too big for this hoop. It's actually too wide because these background quilting designs, even though they're 4x6, they're actually 4.5 by 6.5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in. And you see it's these orange lines here that are giving me trouble. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go delete those two steps that I always delete. And now I can see this is just my placement stitch from my batting. That fits in the hoop beautifully. But it's that basting stitch for my background fabric. And that stitch is not important because we're going to take it out when we're done. So what I'm going to do is I am going to modify it slightly by pulling in these two side orange lines. Oh, wait, no, you saw that? The whole thing was moving. Let me undo. I don't want to actually change the design of the outline quilting. I want this to stay. I only want to change this. So let me just have that highlighted. And we're going to bring that in and bring that in. I won't know until I do the bottom one. Also, look at this step right here. This step is going out. Now, this will be harder to do with essentials. It would be easy to do with enthusiasts because I could just go delete just those stitch points right there. Let's see. With essentials, I could create a color stop. Let's get to the turquoise. Where does the turquoise? It starts right there. Okay, so look. I'm going to go right here. You see where it's in here and it's in the hoop? I'm going to hit stop. And I'm going to change the color. If I change it to blue, it will work. No. Yes, maybe. Let's change it to blue. Let's see how that goes. All right. Now, just that little bit that was going out of the hoop, I could hit delete. All right. So now, this whole bit of quilting fits in my hoop. And I didn't actually adjust anything with the quilting. That is all the same size it was. The only thing I did was got rid of those couple stitches that were right here that were going out of my hoop. So now let's do the same thing for the bottom. So let me make it to where it's in the middle. I'm looking at this little black box and seeing that it actually is lined up with this grid line here. Okay, now I'm going to delete my 2 steps I never do. I'm going to highlight just the basting stitch, and I'm going to bring it in right inside the hoop. Now hopefully my whole thing won't be red no more. No, still red. Maybe I need to come a little bit more. Still red. So let's see this side. Still red. Something is out. Maybe this corner. How come I can't see the hoop? No, it's in that line there. Let me just look around and see. Maybe it was something still in the top design. Something is bigger than the hoop. Maybe it's this side. Let's try. I'm bringing it in just a little bit more. Okay, I know it's inside the hoop now. So let's see. Nothing there. Let's go back and look at this top design. Maybe this orange line. Let's just select this one. And I'm looking from a little dot here. Okay. Still in the red. Yeah, this bit of the orange line is still poking out. Yay, I don't have a red line anymore. That was a bit of work. Usually I have better luck with getting it right where it needs to be. But now I have not actually messed with the proportion or the size of those background quilting designs. All I've done is manipulated the basting stitch, which I'm going to remove after. So it really doesn't matter that I moved it in a little bit. And I would next add the appliques. But let's go back to the machine and finish. Let me pull up my screen. We're done with all the word, and now we're just going to do the silver satin stitch around the tombstone. So I'm changing to my silver thread. There's my needle, lower, and go. So that's going to stitch for 10 minutes. Okay. So, okay, I don't see any questions. I'm going to go back to Embrilliance. Here we go. All right, so I have my 2 things here. And if I check my cheat sheet, Alma is the one on Celebration, and Rest in Pieces is the one on the Halloween one. So let me pull up my designs. Where's Alma? There's Alma. Drag, drop. And Rest in Pieces. Drag, drop. Okay, so they're both in there. So now it's getting them where they're supposed to be. So first I'm going to rotate it. And I'm going to drag it here. And this one, I'm going to rotate it and drag it here. Now, we want this to be in the center of this. So what we could do is just highlight the basting stitch, the placement stitch for the batting, and then highlight the design. And I'm going to hold the Command or Control key like that. And I'm going to go to, so what I'm hoping here that Alma moves, not my blue line. So we got to keep a close eye on it. So I'm going to go to my Align and Distribute. And I'm going to hit center horizontal and center vertical. So it's going to center it right in that box. Now, as I hit apply, I'm really going to be watching to make sure this blue line doesn't move. See, yep, it didn't move. Alma moved. All right, so that worked out how I wanted. So now I know she's right in the middle, and I'll do the same thing for here. I'm going to pick this blue line and rest in pieces. Align, distribute, center, center, apply. Oh no, the blue line moved. Close, undo. Try again. Here, here. Align, distribute, center, center. No, the blue line still moved. Ah! I thought that was undo. Undo, undo, undo. I guess maybe your best bet is to add the applique, open it right after you open the quilting, so then it's all together, and then move them all as one is probably what I should have did. But I can also kind of eyeball it. So it's up to you, whatever you want to do. If you want to make sure it's just right, then maybe open up a new hoop and open up each one. Let me go back. Quilting bundle. What was that? Halloween one? 4x6. This one. Drag and drop. Like that. And then get back to my designs. And then what was that one? Rest in pieces. Drag, drop. So now I know they're right in the middle. So I can take all of that, grab it, copy, paste, rotate it. I'm going to delete all this. And this, I still want to make sure I'm grabbing everything at the same time, all of it. All right, and then now I still have to go mess with my basting. So I'm delete that, highlight just the basting, and bring it in, and bring it in as much as I can. And just keep playing with it until I don't have red in my box there. Oh, it's the bottom here. Okay, so let me highlight the whole thing, and I'm just going to move it up. And now it's not outside. So now it's ready to go, and I know that is centered. That's probably a better thing to do, and then start messing with the basting stitch to make it fit in the hoop. But I'm going to save this as a working file. And in my embroidery designs, Kimberbell, Candy Corn Quilt Shoppe, and I made myself a folder in here, working designs. And I'm going to write Tombstones 6x10. Save. And so now I can stitch those. And then, oh, one thing I didn't think about is we can color sort this. That would make life a lot easier. So let's go back and look at our thing. So this background quilting's in green and this one's in purple. So let's go make that here. So let's change this color to green. Do something like that. And then let's change this one to purple. Okay. And I'm looking at my book while I do this, but all of the words are in black and the tomb is in light gray. So all that's going to stay the same. The only thing is that these applique steps are the same orange and blue that my background, my batting and basting is in. So I don't want those to stitch at the same time. So I need to go change the color of my applique step. So I'm just going to change it to a different color blue and then a different color orange. And I'm going to go make this one have the same blue and orange, light blue and pumpkin. Okay. Now every step is a different color and the steps I want to stitch at the same time are the same color. So watch when I go to utility, color sort. I reduced it by 2 color changes. That's not a lot. Let's see. So now we should do both batting placement stitches at the same time. Both, whatchamacall, basting the background fabric down. This quilting, this quilting. No. This quilting, then it goes to this. I'm going to play with this. This didn't do like what I wanted it at all. I want this to be after the green. So this background fabric, this background fabric. Then I want both. I want this placement stitch, this placement stitch, then this tack down, this tack down. Then I want these words and these words, and then this tombstone and this tombstone. That's what it should have done. I could have played, when you do color sort, you have some tolerance here you could put. You can adjust this. If it's not color sorting the way you want it to, you can, I think, increase the tolerance will make it more likely to color sort. So let's increase it to 8. Let's just see what happens. Nothing, still not reduced. But they're all right next to each other probably. Let's go to cancel. And all right, let's go back to the machine. But y'all kind of get the idea of what I was trying to do, but it wasn't working for me. All right, so we are done with empty bobbins. So that is there. And now all we need to do is rehoop and kind of do the same exact thing for the broom parking. So all right, so we're just going to cut the stabilizer. I'm cutting it right where the stitch line is here. So I could take this off and put it on the side. And now I can rehoop. I could have also just not cut that off and rehooped right next to it. That's an option as well. If you want to just like keep going and then trim and prepare, you know, finish everything after, but I'm going to work on this while this is stitching. Okay, so we got this hooped, and now we'll go back to the machine and load up the next design. So let's go to home. Okay. Embroidery, USB. And now we're doing broom parking. That's this one. Set. Embroider. Okay, I'm going to just leave that silver on there. And the first step is telling me where to put my batting. And I got to remind myself what color is the background quilting for this block. Black. All right, background quilting is black. Okay. So now we will add the glue. Add the batting. And then add the background fabric right on top of that. And I'm going to change my thread to the water soluble for this basting stitch. Okay, and now we will do the basting stitch to hold down the background fabric. I just kind of smooth the fabric out as I'm going. I love this print. It's so simple, but so fun and bold. All right, and now we'll go back to black thread for the background quilting. Okay, and go. Oh, Loretta says now she really wants a 6x10 hoop. They are so nice. I have a Brother NQ 1700E. Highly recommend it. It has that 6x10 hoop. It also comes with a 5x7, and it works with a 4x4, but doesn't. Like when you buy the machine, I wonder. I don't remember if it should come with a 5x7. I don't remember. It might, maybe only the sewing embroidery comes with it. But you can buy a hoop set on Amazon for pretty cheap for the NQ 1700, and it comes with the little small 1.5 by 2.5 hoop, 4x4, 5x7, and 6x10. It cuts jump stitches, which your 4x4 machine probably does not do. It stitches faster. It stitches at 850 stitches per minute. But one thing that it does not do, it's not capable of, is the repositionable hoop like your 4x4 machine has, and some 5x7 machines. They have the option for that repositionable hoop. But once you get to the NQ, the Innovis models, you no longer have that repositionable hoop. And yes, the hoop style is just like my machine, and it slides on and has a little lever. So I like that personally better than the snap-on hoops, because if you don't have it snapped in just right, it can pop off while you're stitching. So I think that's another advantage. It also has wireless capabilities. But yeah, I always tell people that if you have a 4x4 or 5x7 machine and you want to upgrade, the next step would definitely be the M1700. And then I had planned I had a PE 770, which was a 5x7 hoop machine. When I had my machine, I planned on getting the 6x10 hoop machine. Like that was going to be my next step. But when I called Sewing Machines Plus, great salespeople there, by the way, they talked me into the Persona, which is a Brother single needle free arm machine. And I'm so glad they did, because I loved that machine. That was like a game changer, going from a flatbed machine to a free arm machine. And then I ended up getting the 1700 later to have it for teaching. But okay, we are done with the background quilting. Now is the placement stitch for my applique fabric. I'm just going to leave the black on. I think my next stitch is actually white. So I'm going to go ahead and load white. All the wording on this one is white. Switch over to white now. I think I like the needle spreader on the 1700 better than my smaller machines. It's less likely for you to mess up the needle threader. The way that it's made, the presser foot like automatically comes down, because on those machines there's a little lever here to thread the needle, and on the 1700, when you do that, the presser foot comes down with it automatically in case you forgot to put it, which asks me how I know that. Okay, I'm just making sure my applique fabric is on top of my placement stitch, which is hard to see because I did it in black thread. But now it will tack down. Ooh, just made it. All right, it's going to go around one more time, and then we'll take this off and trim it. So there, I'll tell you, the two machines, it's actually three machines I use the most. This machine I love, and I have it set up on my desk. I use it the most. But when I am doing a shirt, a onesie, anything that is, I guess you would call, like, people say tubular, I don't know. Anything that I would have to turn inside out, a bag, that is when using a free arm machine, I don't use the Stellaire because it is way too complicated. If you've ever tried to hoop and stitch a onesie on a flatbed machine, you know the frustration that can happen. So I have, the Persona, that was my second machine I got back in 2020. That one was an 8x8 hoop and free arm single needle. It was great. It was great. My kids were still smaller. The 8x8 hoop was great for those like 6-7 year old shirts, where the 5x7 was still getting kind of small for those. But a couple years later, or 3 years later, they came out with a new model, a new version of the Persona, and I really did not think they could improve it. And they did. They increased the hoop size to 8x12. And that is a big deal. Now I'm in the adult size range of hoops. So I traded in my Persona and got the PR1X. It's a Brother single needle free arm machine. It's just like the Persona, but it's got a few upgrades. The main ones were bigger hoop, that's huge. And they have this special 2 position placement system where like you can hoop something entirely crooked. But if you have like if you printed out your design and pinned it or have some kind of position sticker, you can make your design stitch right where you want it to be. So it's almost like you make your design crooked because you hooped your thing crooked and it will all come out looking straight. It's amazing. All right. I trimmed my applique. Now we're going to stitch all the wording for broom parking. This is going to take 13 minutes, and then we'll do the final satin outline in orange. So yeah, I hope I answered all your questions about the, if you ever are, you know, wanting to upgrade a machine, please contact me. You can email me at hello@carlybell.com. I have a salesperson that I work with at Sewing Machines Plus, and I can forward your information to her, and she will contact you, and she has a special discount code for my followers. She's very knowledgeable. She can answer all your questions if you're going back and forth between two machines. She can also help you with financing if that is something that you need to do. There are times when they offer 0% financing. I think it all depends on your credit, of course, but yeah, I work really closely with Sewing Machines Plus. That's where I've gotten my machines from. I think they're excellent. They ship to your door for free. And one question a lot of people ask, like with these bigger machines, are what about servicing the machines? You don't need to ship them to Sewing Machines Plus to service them. You can bring them to any Brother, Baby Lock, authorized dealer. There are people, you know, either way, you're going to have to pay to have your machine serviced. So that's what I do. I just bring it to somewhere local. And actually, I just found out about a guy, because the place I used to go to shut down. I found out about a guy that comes to your house and services your machines. So I may be doing that soon. But yeah, just contact me if you ever have any questions. Okay, Jill has a problem with nesting. Okay, so I'm going to tell you all my things. I got a list of things I do to troubleshoot when it comes to this. Nesting usually has to do with some sort of debris. It can even be the tiniest piece of thread down in the bobbin case, below the bobbin case. So what I would do is I would take the bobbin out, and depending on your machine, if you have a little snap piece that you can pull out, or like on the Stellaire, I think I did this the last sew-along class we did. I had an issue, and I ended up taking my needle plate off and the bobbin case out, and I rub a little pipe cleaner in there, or you can use a little brush that came with your machine to get any dust, any little tiny pieces of thread, clean that out really good. When you're putting it back together, you really got to make sure you put your bobbin case back just how it was, and there's a little white dot that helps you make sure it's right. That would be step one. Then you rethread your bobbin. Step two would be changing your needle and rethreading your upper path. And next thing after that would be cleaning your upper path, your upper thread path. And you can do that by cutting a thin, long strip of cutaway stabilizer, or you get unwaxed dental thread. I have some here. I got it off of Amazon. It says unwaxed dental floss. And I'll cut a long piece of that, and I'll just run it through my thread path, and I'll pull it out, and then I'll run it again. And that kind of cleans your thread path. Something didn't happen here. The thread at the bottom of the P, it didn't finish. And something sounded funny. So let me cut, stop and cut. The A started stitching, but the P never finished. Let me check my bottom. It's hard to tell because it's all white. But what I'm going to do is go to my needle plus minus button. I'm going to back up until my needle looks like it's over that P. I'll put my needle down. Now it even looks off a little bit. Yeah, the A is really close to the P. Something doesn't look right. I wonder if it got caught up and then it adjusted something. Okay, so the alignment looks like it's off. So this is what I'm going to do. Because I don't even think the P is stitched in the right spot. The broom looks like it's stitched right. Something happened here. I'm going to go use my seam ripper and get these threads out. I'm going to turn my machine off and back on to reset the alignment. And then I'm going to restitch this. So, yay, troubleshooting. All right, let's come back here. So do y'all see how the P didn't finish stitching? And then it jumped to the A, and you see how the A is almost like touching the P right here? That's a little too close. So something's not right. And then when I went backwards and put my needle down, the needle went down like on side of the P. The needle went down like right there where there is no stitching. So that tells me something's not right. I heard something that didn't sound right. So don't have any more of this fabric if I wanted to continue trying to make this look like my example. So I'm going to do this fun task of getting these stitches out. Usually what I do is I'll run a scissors or a seam ripper right up the middle of that little satin column. And then from the front, you should be able to pull all that out. What time is it? 11:40. Okay. We might not finish this block before my mom comes, but I'm gonna definitely keep going until I get this back on the machine and y'all see that it goes back to stitching how it should. But the last two steps is just finishing this wording and then the satin outline around the purple applique, which is going to be done in orange thread. Okay, this time I ran the ripper up the satin column on the front, and now on the back I can pull it all out. Okay, where's my friends? Let's see. A net. I'm using a 5x7 hoop. And I might not even be too particular about trying to get all these stitches out because it's going to get stitched on top of, and I don't think it's going to be making it look wrong, you know. I'll see. I'll do the best I can. That P is giving me trouble. Let me try from this direction. There we go. Little tight stitches are hard. Told y'all these blocks were going to be so easy. That's where I went wrong, right? Can't say stuff like that. I'll jinx myself. Also a little worried about the pressure I'm putting. Oh, you know what? I got that. This will help. I'm putting pressure when I have it upside down. I'm pushing on the front and I don't want to mess up the hooping. So I got this wool mat that fits in my 5x7 hoop nicely. My friend Reen sent me. That will help me from putting so much pressure from behind. Ugh, I don't know if all these stitches are going to come out. I might just have to do the best with what we have. Let's see, I see Annette was trying to figure out why I was changing my background quilt and Embrilliance. So that last tutorial I did, that was just to make it fit in 2 of these blocks in a 6x10 hoop. So like right now I'm only doing 1 in a 5x7, but 2 really doesn't fit in a 6x10. There's 1 piece that's poking out that's making it not fit, and that piece is really not crucial. So I could move it in, or I could just not do the basting stitch at all, just delete it, and that will make it fit in a 6x10 hoop. All right, I'm about to give up with getting all these stitches out, and my solution may be, if I still have issues right here with the space not looking right, I'll just put some purple marker right here to hide it. I don't think it'll be bad though. Okay. I can't get these last few stitches of the underlay. I poked myself. I can't get them out. I can't get the needle or the seam ripper down. This is when that little Peggy stitch eraser thing would probably come in handy that I don't have. Okay, I give up for that. So I got as much as I could out. All right, so let's go back to the machine. And like I said, I think something became misaligned. Something came out move this. So the only way to fix that is turn the machine off and on. So I'm gonna go off and back on. Did I move the camera? Yeah. Okay. So now it's gonna think, and this whole thing is gonna reset. And it's asking me, do I want to recall my previous memory? Yes, I do. Thank you. Ta-da, there's my design. And oh, it even brought me back where I was. That's so fancy. Well, it's not quite right. It's down below. But I can back up. I don't know. Let's see. I'm going to go to the end of broom. There we go. So this is the last stitch of broom. Just hitting +1 until the cursor moves. Now it's right on the P for parking. But before, let me just double check. everything is okay down in here. And maybe rethread my bobbin. Definitely doesn't hurt. Okay, I'm going to keep the fingers crossed. Okay. Now it should go right to the beginning of the P. And maybe a little dent. I want to trim this tail. Okay. Looks like it's stitching the P right on top. It's probably going to be the A. Maybe that gets moved over. Okay, and cuts that, but it finished stitching the whole P, so that's good because that wasn't like that before. Yep. It's a little bit shifted to the right. But I don't think it's going to be so bad that, no, it looks good. It's just one little outlying stitch that only I can see right there on side of the A. So that's great. This worked out. The letters are very close together, but it was bumped over to the right just a smidge. And that's all it takes to misalign something. Something got caught underneath and it put enough strain on the arm that the alignment got off. Okay, so now hopefully no more hiccups. And we'll just finish stitching the white and then we'll do the orange. And while that is stitching, let's go ahead and take care of our other block. That's finished. And should be at least get through finish maybe stitching before my mom gets here. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna come back here. And this is our block that we finished. And I'm just gonna trim the stabilizer. Like that. And we need to get that water soluble basting stitch. That's what we need to get out. So I'm going to go ahead and soak that. Let that start dissolving. Okay. And there's a couple of little jump stitches between the letters. I will trim while that basting stitch is dissolving. There we go. Scissors underneath that one. Okay, so a couple little jump stitches we got out. That basting stitch should be good and dissolved. And now on the back, we can grab the bobbin thread and it should pull right up. Okay, so now that that is done, we can press this, and there's no specialty fabrics or anything on it, so it should, you could press the whole thing and don't have to worry about the heat messing anything up. Oh, there are a couple more jump stitches on the bobbin. I can go grab after. Okay. That's all nice and pressed. So when you want it to be nice and pressed before you trim it. So it's like really how it's nice and flat and supposed to be. So now we're going to get the rotating cutting mat and orange pop ruler, 4.5 by 6.5, and turn it on the other side. And I center the design, and I'm actually using the little puncture holes from the basting stitch as a guide for my outer rim, because that's really where your cut line is. That's why you want to remove it before you trim, so that it's not, when your rotary blade goes over it, it's not like moving it on accident. Okay, so I got it where I want. And you just run your blade into the sides there. And when you're done, it should come right out. And now you have your 4x6 block trimmed with your seam allowance. So it's 4.5 by 6.5, and it's ready to go to add to your other blocks until we have them all done and we can start piecing things together. So I will put this in my tombstone envelope until I'm done with my other ones, and I'll keep them all in here so when I'm ready to piece together, everything is still organized where it should be. And the machine is still stitching the Brook Parking sign. This is going to take a little while. So I'll probably need to end the video before this is done stitching. Let's see. But in the meantime, let's look and see. Any more questions? Oh, good. Elsa can confirm. The 1700E comes with the 6x10 and the 5x7 hoop. I could not remember because I had the sewing embroidery combo machine. I knew that came with both. I couldn't remember if the 1700 alone came with both. Kind of like the Stellaire. There's a sewing. I have the sewing embroidery combo. There's also an embroidery only version of my machine. I want to say the sewing embroidery combo comes with 4 hoops. The sewing only, maybe, I don't know if it comes with 4 hoops. I don't remember that. Let's see. Yay, Laura said Christmas might come early. Definitely. Yay, Retha, I'm so glad. I can't wait for you to get home and start with this too. Okay, this is a good tip from Elsa. She had issues with her batting. Her embroidery foot kept getting stuck. So she used double the muslin stabilizer. Was the batting going down into it, or was the foot catching it as it was going on top of it? Because depending on your machine, you can also raise the height of your embroidery foot. So that's something to think about. Let's see. On the batting, she cut it to size, but she didn't put the background fabric on it. That would have kept the embroidery foot from getting caught. Yes, that definitely will help, because I know with some of the border blocks, I finished all my border blocks. But I did a little different process for that one because the fabric is already cut perfectly. So I did the batting placement. I put my batting in where it needed to go. Then I did a fabric placement, and that's where it would run right alongside the batting, and it didn't catch. But one thing I could have done is just went ahead and stitched both of those right away, like stitch the batting placement and stitch the fabric placement. Then took my hoop off and added my glue, put my batting, added my background fabric on top my batting, and then went back to the machine. So then I wouldn't have to be stitching anything with the batting exposed. So that's something you could try as well for those border or filler blocks. Oh, that's a good deal. So Walmart has pre-cut muslin for around $6 for 2 yards. That's cheaper than what I was buying it for. Let's see. Let me go to my Amazon link and see how much I paid. Because I need to buy more. Stabilizer here. Lightweight muslin. Yep, it's $10 for 2 yards on Amazon. So yeah, Walmart's going to be a better deal. I paid $23 for 5 yards. So yeah, I might just add that to my Walmart grocery order instead. Thank you for the tip. Yeah, now I'm going to go to my Walmart app and see if they have it on there. Like when I get my groceries. Because that's what I do with like my spray and bond. And back when I used to order small things of heat and bond, I would just add them to my grocery order. She said she bought some at Hobby Lobby, and even with the sale at Hobby Lobby, it costs more. Yep. There's definitely going to be certain notions and then fabric. And this is, not knocking Walmart fabric, but it's not quilt shop quality. Definitely. Neither is Hobby Lobby. But when you need it for little projects, and you don't have a local quilt shop, they get the job done. Like I was thinking for the back of this quilt, I think I'm just going to go buy, I don't know if a 2 yard piece will cut it. What's the dimensions of this quilt? 40 something? 40. So you'll be cutting it really close. But if I got 2 yards of just plain black fabric from Walmart, I could sew it. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get 2 yards of black fabric from Walmart, and if I have to sew 2 pieces together so that it's bigger than my quilt, when I go and add my top to the backing before I do stitch in the ditch, that's what I'm gonna do for the back, because the back doesn't matter. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Michael's starting to carry more fabric. My Michael's has an aisle of fabric, but I've never seen anyone cutting it ever. So, but yeah, I heard that they bought Joann's, and they're supposed to start carrying some of Joann's like branded stuff. Susan's like, thanks for the tip. I love saving money. Girl, we all do. This stuff is expensive. We got to save wherever we can. I always tell people that, like when we start the Kimberbell projects, I'm like, don't be surprised if you have sticker shock when you get into these things. Because the first time I did, I was like, holy moly. I paid $75 for the designs, and I got to buy background quilting designs too. So, yes, everything is expensive. So we have to save where we can. Oh, geez. Loretta said she had to help him cut the fabric at Michael's. That's so funny. All right, we're still stitching. Let's see. My phone should ding when my mom gets here, so I'm just going to keep letting everything film until my mom gets here. Ooh, and today my ruler's coming in, so I don't think my mom is watching, so I'm going to show y'all this quilt that I'm going to try and make. I don't have a picture of the front though. Oh, I can show you on the computer though. Let's see. Craft table. Okay. So I have this quilt I plan on making. And when I looked at it, it looked to me like it was all half square triangles. And I was like, I could do this. Half square triangles. Yes. But when I got the actual PDF pattern, I realized, no, it is not half square triangles. They are all flying geese. And I had never really made a flying geese block before. I made them on the embroidery machine. Those are nice and easy. We did it for this quilt, right? For the first class we did, I think we did a flying geese. But these are done the old-fashioned way. And so I followed these instructions. These are pretty cool because it's like a no waste situation. But one square piece of colored fabric and 4 small pieces of white gave me 4 flying geese. So the way the quilt pattern is going to work, it's going to look like this. And it'll just be a whole bunch of rows actually going vertical. Well, no, it'll go across too. But the same color will go down, and the same color, like it'll alternate colors as it goes down. But when I made my geese, I'm happy with them. I realized when it came to the next page, which I didn't print out, is the cutting instructions. That seemed very difficult to me because the ruler they were using had the 45-degree angle, and they lined it up here and then made it a 1/4 inch past this point. And all the rulers I have, like none of them worked the way I wanted them to, so that I was confident that when I trimmed it, it would be trimmed right. So I went on Amazon. Well, I just did like a Google search, like trimming flying geese. And then it came up where they have special rulers specific for trimming flying geese. And I ordered one off of Amazon, and it comes in today. But the only thing is, I ordered one that's specific to the size, but all of my blocks are, I think, 4x6. All of them are going to be 4x6. So this one ruler is going to get me through the whole quilt, where it has the lines for this here. And so that I'll make sure I'll trim them all. So you have some, when these come together, they will look like they're touching. The seam allowance should make it to where it looks like those points are touching one another. And that's where it's like, you really got to make sure you trim it right, so that when you sew it together, it looks right when you press it open, something like that. So I just got a notification that's coming in the mail today. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, this is the block I'm working on, the quilt I'm working on. This was a test run. The purple fabric was just some that I had that I wanted to run through the process and see that I could make it first before I start sewing my pretty fabrics that I had like a fat quarter bundle that I'm using for this quilt that has alternating florals in like shades of green and yellow and peach. It's going to be pretty. But yeah, we'll see if I can get this done by Christmas. Everybody wish me luck. But this is my flying geese I'm very excited about. So I will keep y'all updated on that as it moves along and how I do with it. But let's go back to the machine, and we're just still stitching lettering. Almost done. Last letter. Okay, I need to load my orange thread for the satin outline around the purple applique. There's even a period at the end. Okay. Okay, and lower and go. And that takes 8 minutes to stitch out. It's right on top of the There you go. It's like a jump stitch. Oh, there's a random thread in the way. Push that out so it don't get caught underneath it. And this looks like it's a nice big thick satin outline. And it's gonna look good with the, I love the black and white, purple and orange. That's fun. All right, so we'll just finish that. Any more questions? Let's see. Hi, Cindy. Don't worry, you always have after the live is over, you can go back and watch the recording. All right, Loretta said, how am I going to do the quilting part? So for this quilt that I'm making the quilt top, traditional piecing, all flying geese on my sewing machine. But once I have the quilt top done, I'm going to make the quilt sandwich, which will be the backing fabric, the batting, and then my quilt top. I'll use spray adhesive and safety pins and everything to kind of hold all that together. And then I'm going to use my embroidery machine with one of Kimberbell's background quilting designs, but in the clear blue tile method. So kind of just like what you were doing with your 4x4 hoop, where you kind of re-hoop so that you get the quilting looks continuous and it looks like a long arm did it, but I'll be doing it on a large quilt. So it's going to take multiple hoopings. So I did this with my nephew's quilt. Let's see, I got a picture somewhere. Oh, I think it's on my video software. Let's see if I can find it. Maybe this one. That's a video. So that's the quilt. And you can see the clear blue tiles where I marked it. So this was a panel. So this was already put together. Let's see, what's this? That was me making the sandwich with the background fabric, the quilt, and the panel. And do I not have a picture of the quilt? I don't think I do. But you kind of get the picture of, I hooped all those sections and quilted them. And then when we were done, it looked like it was all done on a long arm. And I want to say that was 14 hoopings, that baby quilt. So this one's probably going to be like 20 something, 30 hoopings. I don't know. We'll see. So yeah, the likelihood of me getting this done by Christmas is slim, but that's okay. We're going to try anyway. Oh, yay. I want to do this too. So Cindy said she made a t-shirt quilt using clear blue tiles and it turned out gorgeous. I've been saving all my girls' school t-shirts and I want to do this too, and all their dancing t-shirts. Yes, Sherry, the ruler. Yes, I can add it in the description under the video. I will try to remember to do that. Let me write it down because I'll forget. But I got it off of Amazon. It was like $14. And what was the brand? Quilt in a Day. That's the brand. Apparently they make all kinds of rulers. Add flying geese ruler. Hi, India. Yes, so my courses, I do have a sale on my courses on Facebook. So you'll see if you follow me on Facebook, you should be seeing my advertisements where I have a special sale on both my Embrilliance course and my beginner machine embroidery course. So look for those on Facebook. If you don't see them, you can email me at hello@carlybell.com and I will send you the sale links. Okay, let's see. Let's see. All right, guys. So before this is over, let's go over what we're going to do. Okay, so your homework is to finish the 2 tombstone blocks. That was Alma Scraps and Rest in Pieces. And then next week, we're getting close, guys. Next week, we will do, no, not next week, Thursday. This Thursday, we are going to do the sewing machine and there's 3 like cute little wooden embroidery hoop blocks. We'll do one of them. And then the other 2 will be homework. But I wanted to look, so the sewing machine is a bigger block. This one's 6 by 8. We can make this fit in the 6 by 10 hoop, doing just like we did today, just manipulating that basting stitch or not even doing that basting stitch. Because the final size is 6.5, which is a bit too wide for our 6 by 10 hoop. So I think what I'll do with the sewing machine is we're going to make it fit in the 6 by 10 hoop, and then the little wooden embroidery hoop. We got the boo hoop, the home hoop, and the eek hoop. Those are all 4 by 4 blocks. And then we're going to get to one. So I'm going to let y'all choose. So there's 2 more bigger blocks. We have fabric shelves, which is a 6 by 10 block. So we can make that fit the 6 by 10 hoop by just not even doing the basting stitch at all. And then later on, the quilt shop, that block is 8 by 10. I think that's going to be the one we will use the split design option. Now, there is a split design option for the fabric bookshelves. Let me go. Double hooping. Yeah, the fabric bookshelf comes with a split design that will fit in 2 5 by 7 hoopings. And the quilt shop has a split design fit into 5 by 7 hooping. So we'll do the quilt shop will be the one we split, but we're going to have to do the clear blue tile method to pre-quilt the background before we stitch it. So we'll go through that whole process. That's a class, I think, where I have it by itself. It's actually the last one, and that's the only block we do for that class. So we'll just focus on that. We'll pre-quilt it and we'll split it up into 2 hoopings. But we really don't have much left. Let me look at the schedule. I need to start catching up on my homework. So yeah, so this Thursday, sewing machine and hoop. Next Tuesday, I have the fabric bookshelf by itself. So if y'all want me to split that into 2 hoopings, let me know if that's better for people. Then we do the sit and stitch and dress form. And then Thursday, October 7th is quilt shop. That's the last block. And then we start piecing stuff together on October 9th. So I need to have all my homework done by October 9th. All right, so we are done stitching. Broom parking, yay. So let's see if y'all can see this. This is the part where it messed up earlier. Focus, thinking about focusing? Maybe. Let's see, can I press a button and you focus? I can't work this camera. Oh well, let's go try somewhere else. But in between the P and the A, that's where I was having trouble. And there's a very thin 1 line of stitching on this side of the A here that is not supposed to be there, but it's so faint, I'm not even going to worry about it. But yeah, I think overall the block came out good. And now that camera's out of focus. Good thing we are done. Can you see that just that little bit of stitching right there on side the A? That was The only bit that I needed to get out that I couldn't, but I'm really not that, you can't even see that from here, right? So I'm not even going to worry about it. Okay, is my mom here yet? Nope, so we can keep working. Okay. Let me make sure she didn't text me. Oh, she did. On my way. That was at 11:15. Let me go see if my mom's downstairs and I didn't even realize. Hold on one second, guys. It only takes her 10 minutes to get to my house, not an hour. Okay. Let's trim this. When I tell y'all I got a bunch of scraps of muslin, this is what they're like. So I don't know if I'm going to piece those together or not. I should, but I don't think I want to. Okay. All right. So let's see. India had some questions about the courses. So with my online courses, you get lifetime access. So that means once you buy them, you have access to all the video tutorials and course materials forever, as long as there's a website, which I hope there will always be a website. So you don't have to worry about like going too fast or too slow. They're all my online courses are pre-recorded, so they're not live. You don't have to be anywhere at a certain time. You can watch them at 2 o'clock in the morning if you want to, and you can go back and rewatch them 3 years down the road when you forgot how to do something. Both of my courses, the Embrilliance one and the From Start to Stitch, which is beginner embroidery, they have Facebook groups so that you get ongoing support. You can ask questions. I even still do a live Q&A session for my From Start to Stitch students. So, they can submit questions or just show up during the Q&A and ask me whatever they need help with. And we cover like all kinds of stuff. And that's where like a lot of people ask me about my From Start to Stitch course. That's my machine, how to use an embroidery machine, basically. It's everything I wish somebody would have held my hand and taught me when I got my first machine. It's the way I've made the course is so that everything you learn can be applied to any embroidery machine. So it's not specific for one kind of machine or only brother machines. You're learning like the fundamentals of machine embroidery. And then the live Q&A sessions, that's where people can come and ask machine specific questions. I own several different kinds of machines. I even have a big industrial machine. So I had someone ask me today, will this help me with my Ricoma? And I tell them it's going to help you no matter what embroidery machine you have. And then when you start having once you go through the course and then you having some Ricoma specific questions, then I can help you with those as well. And even if I don't have the same machine as you, I will figure it out. Trust me. I like to figure things out. So that is my courses. My Embrilliance course is all about Essentials, the program that I use today. And I go through all of the tools, all of the functions. I even have a specialty lesson on Kimberbell quilt blocks and how to stitch multiples at one time. So lots of material covered in there. And then I am planning an enthusiast course that will come out next year. Okay, so we are done with this block. Pressed the basting stitches out, so now we can trim it. Cheryl, yes, so she asks, do you teach how to get and download the designs? Yes, in my From Start to Stitch course, I go over like embroidery designs in general, and I show you all my favorite places to buy designs, and how to get them from your computer to the machine. I also go over this in my Embrilliance course. With Embrilliance, I go in a little more detail in that what the difference is between a working file and a stitch file, and how to send it to USB versus how to send it wirelessly. I cover that in a little bit more detail in the Embrilliance course. But yeah, that should be our easiest thing to teach and show. Where did I cut there? Is how to get these designs you may be purchasing online to your machine. And the first thing you need to know is where your design's going after you download them. They should be going in a downloads folder, and they are more than likely in a zip file. So you have to unzip them. And then I have a little mini course that I teach on how to organize your embroidery designs. It's called Embroidery Design Organizer. Very, very original, cool name there. And I go through all of that in that course. I go through how I organize my designs and the system I've made using both a like printable binder and a like online digital database with this spreadsheet software that I use. Where's my other block? So that's the Embroidery Design Organizer, little mini course that helps you with all that kind of stuff. All right. So Cindy has a question. Did I spray the tacky no slip on the orange pop rulers? The orange pop rulers, did I lose it already? Where did I put it? They come with, here we go, these little circles, stickers that you put on the back of your ruler so that they don't slip. So I added those stickers after, but you can, and look, they have little tiny ones too. That was like inside the donut. So I put the donut there, and then I put the little tiny ones on the side. But yeah, I put that on all of them so that they don't slip. Yay, Linda's orange pop rulers came in today. So Cindy, you have trouble with your rulers moving when you rotate the mat, even with these little circles? Yeah, I mean, it should be once you get it like where you want it, and you rotate your mat slowly and smoothly, make sure it's not bumping into things, but it should not move. It should not. And then once you get to where you're ready to cut again, put pressure down and cut. And then, yeah, just make sure you're not, flying it around. Then maybe it would move. But no, I've never had the trouble of them moving when I'm rotating the mat. That's not been an issue for me. So maybe play around with practicing and make sure you go in smoothly and slowly, and hopefully that helps. Okay, yours didn't come with the stickers, but you had some. Maybe it's the stickers are not as good, or they're not as thick enough. Yeah. If you still have your packaging, they should have come with a little sheet of those little donut type stickers. And maybe you can even contact Kimberbell and say, I didn't have any in my package, and they might send you some. All right. So I think that's it for today, guys. So we did empty bobbins and broom parking only. So I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. I'll be back on Thursday. This week is Thursday, September 25th. That's my mother-in-law's birthdays. We got some birthdays this week. So we'll tell Debbie happy birthday on Thursday. And we'll be doing the sewing machine block and one of the little wooden hoop blocks. But that's it for today. Remember, if you came in the live halfway through or towards the end, the replay is available immediately after the live is over, and I will go add this video to my website so that you can have all the videos in one spot if you need to go back and watch some other replays. But that's it for today. I hope y'all have a great rest of y'all Tuesday, and I will see you back hopefully on Thursday. All right, bye everyone.